President Trump a short time ago, and he picked up to talk about the negotiations over the weekend with the Iranians. We had this report at the top of the day today that the Iranians were actually breaking off negotiations with the United States. That moved oil markets, and so that's what I asked the president about. I said, do you think the negotiations are over now, or is this a bluff by the Iranians? The president said, I don't care if they're over, honestly. I really don't care. I couldn't care less. If they're over, they're over. If they're not, I think they took too much time. Frankly, I think they started to get a little boring. The president said he thinks that the Iranian side was tapping us along, that is, that they were stalling for time. Ultimately, on oil prices, the president was confident that he said oil will be dropping like a rock. He said, ultimately, if the Iranians want to try and have a nuclear weapon, I will blow them up to kingdom come. He said what this is all about for him is a strongly held conviction that the Iranians should not ever be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, and that American voters will tolerate higher gas prices as long as they know what the goal is here. I also asked him about Netanyahu and the Israelis. I asked, it seems to be that the Iranians are saying they're not going to negotiate until Israel stops attacking in Lebanon. Have you talked to Netanyahu about it? I asked the president. He said, this is about 40 minutes ago, he said, no, but I'm going to ask him what's going on with Lebanon. They've been fighting for a long time. Now, since our call, just in the past couple of minutes, we've seen a report on Reuters that crossed the wires a short time ago suggesting that the president has now called Netanyahu to discuss that. But at the time that he and I spoke, he suggested that, in fact, they had not talked yet. So then I asked him, what is the end game here in terms of the Strait of Hormuz? How ultimately are we going to get out of the situation that we're in? The president said he thinks that NATO should come in and help the United States out. He said they're the ones. He said, we don't use the Strait. We don't need it. We have a lot of oil. And I said, have you talked to anybody at NATO about that? Have they changed their tune on coming in to help the United States in the Strait? He said they would if I wanted to, but we don't need them. We don't need NATO. They were very weak and very sad. And the last thing I would leave you with is this idea of, where we go from here. I asked the president, when all this is over, how do you bring this to an end if negotiations are not happening and the ceasefire is in place? I asked him, is it time to end the ceasefire? And the president said, we'll see. Let's say I knew exactly what what you're asking me to do, and I sort of do know it. Why would I tell you? So the president there suggesting that he does have a plan that he's not going to talk to the media about, naturally, to end this situation. But clearly, the president suggesting that he doesn't care that negotiations have wound down with the Iranians. And he thought that the Iranians stringing the U.S. along in the first place and that those negotiations took too long. So there you have the U.S. response, Kelly, to what we saw this morning from the Iranian side saying that they were breaking off negotiations. Back over to you.
This is becoming a funny affair. 1 minute, Trump is telling us that we are close to a deal. And the next minute, I don't care if everything blows up. I'm going to blow Iran out of the face of the earth. If they try to. Well, I tell you, this is becoming very funny. Let me remind all of us something that Iran said at the beginning of this negotiation. Said there has to be a total ceasefire from all fronts. Yeah, they said that. So why did Trump allow Netanyahu to bomb Lebanon? Yes, that was a violation of the ceasefire. So let's be very clear about everything. If you want to be transparent, make it open. Make it open. Let it be open. That's exactly what is happening with this war right now. Now, they are leaving the negotiation. They are breaking off from the negotiation. They are going back now. And before you know it, they are closing back the Strait of Hormuz. Now, what happens again? The gas prices shoot up again. It's going down a little bit. It's going to shoot further up now. So you ask yourself, what is this noise about? Where is this heading to? Nobody has the answer. Even Trump does not have this answer right now because he doesn't know how to get out of this now. It's a big problem for President Trump right now. 1 minute he's asking NATO to come and help. The next minute saying you don't need them. We know how to deal with this situation. They are weak. They are this. They are that. Why? You put yourself in a quagmire. You don't know how to get out of it. Find a solution to this. This is becoming a world problem right now. The price of gas does not just have, the problem is not just with the United States, it's everywhere. Remember, every 1 minute you tell us you are the biggest oil this in the whole world, and the next minute, and anything that happens in the street affects your country. The price is going to shoot up right now as soon as Iran goes back to close the Strait of Hormuz, and your price is going to shoot up. So what has happened to all the noise about you have 64% of the total oil of the world? The problem you have is you make a lot of this thing that is not ever proven. You have a big problem right now, Mr. Trump. Please, we don't need war. War has really, you cannot just like you're saying, destroy every part everywhere in Iran, just like you keep saying. It doesn't work like that. You don't own the monopoly of the world, or monopoly of war, or monopoly of this. It doesn't work like that. War does not happen that way, that you keep saying. Sit down, transparently and honestly negotiate. Stop going this way or that way. That is what has affected this whole talk ever since. Iran has maintained their stand from the beginning. They have not changed nothing. They've always stood with what they said. Give this, and then let there be peace. They told you from the beginning, there has to be a complete and total ceasefire from all fronts. Both of you agreed, and then why is Israel bombing Lebanon now? In the middle of this negotiation? Or is that supposed to be a message? Maybe. Maybe you're looking for a cheap way to walk out of this negotiation, and you wanted Israel to disrupt it, and then you asked them to bomb. Otherwise, Netanyahu would not have bombed Lebanon in the middle of this discussion. Because these people made it clear, Iran made it clear. This war is not as easy as that. If you need help, please go for help. Iran is not an easy nut to crack. They are going to keep bothering the world until everybody comes to their knee and respond to them. They have the key. You can't control Hormuz. They are in control. Nothing anybody can do about it. So please, let there be peace in the world, and let's all be transparent and do things just like they have agreed. They hold the key, not you. Iranians hold the key to this discussion. If you think you're going to blow it up in 1 second, go ahead. The choice is yours. But what we are saying is that please, the world needs peace, and peace the world shall get. I will see you in the next episode on Thursday night. Bye.